Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cúilín Media Podcast. I'm Matthew Hurley. I'm joined here by Gaelic Games Fan TV host Aaron Prendergast and from the faithful podcast Liam White. Seamus Brady unfortunately can't join us this evening for the review of this weekend's games, or the preview for this weekend's games. There's only two this weekend, so LGFA is on next weekend in terms of the league finals. So is Camogie. The football championship is about to start the weekend after. We're very excited about that, obviously. So it is just the two hurling league finals to look at in Division 1A and 1B. Obviously, Cork face Limerick in the Gaelic grounds, and also the Gaelic grounds. They're both on the same day and the same venue as well. So handy that way. Clare against Dublin is the other game as well. We'll also discuss about certain stories that happened this week, considering there's only two games this week as well. We do have the ample time to discuss it in this episode. So firstly, I'll go to you, Aaron. I was going to ask you how you've been keeping, but I'm sure you're excited about the hurling this weekend. But with the news stories coming out today, I don't know, are you that pleased? But we'll see how you are.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get onto all that, but yeah, overall, no, I'm doing well, keeping well. Looking forward to the weekend's games. It is very strange. It's the first kind of weekend of the year, really, probably since the league started, that there's very little going on, and we've probably had shows on here in recent weeks and months where we've had so much to talk about and so much to kind of break down. So the fact that it is just the two games and a couple of other. Yeah, a lot of contentious maybe issues in the last 7 days in Gaelic games, especially obviously only really in football, given the follow on from the league finals and everything else. But yeah, obviously both our counties are involved this weekend, so looking forward to the games. Yeah,
it should be interesting games. Liam, how you've been keeping? It is an interesting two games this weekend, but albeit only two games. It's a bit disappointing we have two games, but I'm saying, when we've done podcasts over the years, we have wanted this, where we have a break week in terms of championship. Like, we have the football league finals, then we have a break, and then the football championship starts as well. There's a 2-week break between the league and the championship, which is a good thing in both codes. So I'm guessing that is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, as a neutral, I'm actually looking forward to these two games this weekend. Even earlier at work, I was thinking, Jesus, these are actually two very fascinating games this weekend. You have the two, I would say right now, best sides in the country in Limerick and Cork going at each other. But then you have a very novel game in Clare and Dublin. A bit of history there. The two sides meeting each other in the early 2010s, going at each other. I can actually remember watching Clare and Dublin in a bar in Malaga in 2012 with Bernard Dunn, the former boxer. And I can remember that like it was yesterday. Geez, that's 14 years ago. That's incredible. But yeah, no, these two had a great game back in January. It's a shame that it was never shown anywhere. It would have been a cracking game to have watched on GA Go or TG or RT or anything, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, it's two great games to look forward to this weekend. And looking forward to delving into them.
Yeah, exactly. It should be an excellent weekend, and we have a lot of comments coming in here, especially for Peter Griffin there. So thanks, Peter. But we will discuss with Peter's top comment here, which starting comment was, well, lads, C. Murphy looks to be off the hook for the incident on Sunday, and there was news that kind of broke earlier today about Michael Murphy. Aaron, you've been following the story in detail, so do you want to explain to our listeners what has happened? We all know that Michael Murphy escaped the red card, let's just call it that way, on Sunday against Kerry after a bit of a bad pull, let's say, on Dylan Casey on Sunday. But it seems as if he's gonna get off this incident. Do you want to explain why?
Yeah, well, look, I think we've all seen the incident and the footage and everything else. So I think it is clear as day that it should have been a red card, and I think everyone very much agrees with that. When you watch the clip back, the officials are right in front of it. Obviously David Goff mightn't have seen it, and that's fair enough. But you can see Conor Hand, there's actually a still image where he's literally looking straight at it. But yeah, look, I don't know, maybe he just wasn't looking at it at the time or whatever happened. But yeah, basically what's happened, because they've given an on-field decision of a yellow card, meaning that they have seen the incident. And they have given a yellow card, because you couldn't give a yellow card if you didn't see it. So that's in the referee's match report that they did actually see the incident, hence why they've given a yellow card. And that's why the CCCC can't get involved, because of the fact that they it does seem to be kind of misinterpreted a little bit. From a lot of people are saying, oh, well, they can't get involved because of the fact that the referees already gave an on-field decision of a yellow card. But they're I actually did go back, and there actually is other instances where yellow cards have been given and they have actually been upgraded and everything else. And obviously with the Jerry Brennan incident earlier in the year, like there was a red card given there in that kind of instance for that situation at halftime versus Galway. And look, I think everyone's in agreement that there should be a ban for Jerry Brennan for that incident. Like I've said before, like there absolutely should be a ban for what he did on the sideline and everything else. And I've said before, like as a manager, you should condone yourself a lot better. But I think it's just the inconsistency a little bit. Like how does a player get off with that, but a manager then gets a potential 12-week ban? If it is the rules, as a lot of people keep telling me on Twitter, well then I think we need to relook at the rules because it doesn't make sense. And if the referees did see the incident and gave a yellow card, well that's almost worrying as well, because how have the referees actually seen it and decided that a yellow card is the fair decision? And yeah, look, obviously I'm a Dublin fan, so like I probably shouldn't be sticking up for Kerry maybe as much as I am here, but I think it is more so down to the inconsistencies really. And I said it on Twitter as well, like Jeremy Connolly before got a 12-week ban for shoving a referee, which look, I think was the right decision. I've no disagreements with that suspension or that ban whatsoever, but I do think it's mad that can happen, and then we can see a player punch another player as he's fallen to the ground, having already hit him twice in the ribs as well. And no, that's okay because the referee gave you like it's clear as day. Like the referees just didn't see it, and the yellow card and everything else. It's just a cop out. It's just a clear cop out, and they're just trying to save themselves. They absolutely didn't see it, because if they did, like I mean, David Goff, like he sent like 5 players off in one game before between Armagh and Tyrone. Like he obviously gives a black card to Charlie O'Burns in the Dublin Armagh game. Like I feel like he nearly wants to send people off half the time, and he has it. Like on this occasion, he doesn't. So yeah, it is just kind of very inconsistent. And yeah, it's looking like he will actually potentially get away with it. Which look, I've no issue with Donegal or Michael Murphy. I've said before, a big Michael Murphy fan. Think he's a phenomenal footballer. You know, I probably still enjoy watching him play in the Ulster Championship or whatever. And it doesn't impact Dublin whatsoever. Like, you know, but I think it's just more so the inconsistencies which are a bit frustrating.
Yeah, exactly. So Peter's saying here, he's eating chat as always. Galway S&C lad looking at an 8-week ban as well. Porter Sean O'Malley saying here, Murphy's got the G in his pocket. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see that kind of element as well. And Peter Griffin saying in here, did you see the meme with Goff and the guide dog on the walk again?
I didn't see that. No. I'd say there's a few knocking about. So all right.
So, but definitely, and Peter's also saying in here about Murphy. Murphy's the golden poster boy in the CCC's eyes. Goff Turpin, says Peter Griffin. So yeah, I'd say it's an interesting kind of a debate in many ways. But look, I wouldn't be the biggest fan of Kerry like you, Aaron, in terms of Cork and Kerry have a rivalry, Dublin and Kerry have a rivalry, but even like I looked at the replay. Obviously, referees don't have the luxury of looking at replays and things like that. But having looked at the replay, Murphy should have got sent off. It's as clear as day. Hit Dylan Casey at the side of the head. I don't think that's even a debate. He should have got his marching orders there. And how he's got away scot-free, how he's got away with without a substantial ban is beyond me. In fairness, especially when the Joe Brennan one, that was pretty bad in terms of the strength and conditioning coach with Galway. But even looking back, even to the Dermot Connolly one, like I defend Dublin here, like Connolly's was just a tug in the jersey. Let's call a spade a spade. Michael Murphy hit a fella across the head. Like you can't. I like Donegal and I like Michael Murphy. I probably want Donegal to win the All Ireland in terms of that group deserving it. But calling a spade, Liam, he deserved to go. And if anything, coming out of the game, he deserved a substantial ban.
It's this classic thing of, well, the referee didn't see it, but that's why you have linesmen there. You know, their linesmen surely saw that there was a box there. There was 2 punches there, to be honest with you. His whole tackling, there wasn't even tackling there. It was just bang, bang, bang. Do you know what I mean? It was like watching Mayweather, to be honest with you. It wasn't a GAA match. So I don't know. Look, Murphy, for me, I still think Donegal would have won that game without Murphy, but that doesn't change the fact that he should have been sent off. It's as simple as that. He should have been given his marching orders. Like, you do wonder sometimes, are referees afraid to send off like the big names? Like if David Clifford had done that, would he have gotten a red card? If Conor Callaghan had done that. I'm not saying that they would do that, but I'm just saying players that are well known in the country, are they going to get away with stuff like that? Look, maybe that's not the case. Maybe I'm reading into that too much. But Michael Murphy, for me, absolutely should have gotten a red card. And I'd be like, I have nothing against Donegal. I have nothing against Jim McGuinness, nothing against Michael Murphy at all. If they won the All-Ireland, I'd be quite happy for them, to be honest with you. They've been a group that have been on the rise over the last couple of years. Could have easily, if they'd have beaten Galway in 24, they'd probably would have gone on and beaten Armagh in All-Ireland, because they just seem to have them on a string at the moment. Could have easily won it last year. But at the end of the day, you can't be tackling like that. You can't be boxing, lads. Do you know what I mean? When you're going in for a tackle, there's a way to tackle, and that's absolutely not the way, or at least certainly not the way I was playing Gaelic football anyways. So, yeah, look, simply put, I know the referees don't have the benefit of VAR or anything like that, which I still wouldn't want in the GEA anyway. But when you go to these meetings and you watch them, when you watch this incident back and everything, common sense has to come through at some stage, and you've just got to say, listen, we can't accept this. Because then what I'd be interested to see now more than anything is not what happens with Murphy now, is what happens when the next lad does it from another county, or possibly even from Donegal themselves. Are they going to send off someone else then for the same incident, or are they going to go for a special meeting with Leinster Council or Munster Council or the CCC, and are they going to basically say, yeah, you're getting off scotch-free, or are they going to suspend another fella? So the next time this happens is always the most interesting aspect for me, because you're wondering why did he get off and why hasn't he? And I'd be the same as he. Like, look, I agree with Connolly getting a ban. I agree with Brennan getting a ban. But if they're getting a ban for what they did, Murphy should absolutely be getting a ban as well. You either give it for all three of them, or you give it for none of them. Simple as that.
Yeah, it is plain to see, really. It's plain to see in black and white. And Michael Murphy should have got the ban indeed. Peter saying here on Sunday's show, Seamus outlined the view of the video check on calls like this. They should use a replay for this if the ref didn't see it and the linesman flag it. The thing is, and I see the bit of your discussion in terms of the VAR aspect on Sunday as well. And I wouldn't necessarily be for VAR in GA, because everything will be pulled back. I looked at hockey in the Olympics, and what hockey actually have is a system where you have, I think it's 2 or 3 wild card checks. And then a manager or a captain can request to the referee, okay, this is the wrong decision, we feel, have a look at the monitor. And you have 1 check gone. Your check's down to 2. That's what hockey had in the Olympics, and I'd definitely be for that. Not necessarily the TMO and rugby either, but I'd be for really checks in terms of these incidents. Because imagine this incident: Michael Murphy obviously boxes Dylan Casey. Kerry have one of their 3 checks, and let's say Sean O'Shea, I think, who was their captain on the day, goes over to David Goff. David, we want to have a look at one thing, so that's one of our checks gone. David Goff goes over to have a look. Then once he has a look, it should be a red card after that. So yeah, I think the GA probably should bring in something like that in terms of it. It doesn't have to be like something exactly like VAR in soccer, which has ruined it in many ways. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Aaron. I think Liam talked about it the other night with Seamus. But what's your thoughts on video, I suppose, replays in the GA?
Yeah, I think there's definitely scope for it. I think definitely for instance like this, I don't think it should interfere with like scoring or goals or anything like that. I don't know, or penalty, like penalties, like, yeah, I think a lot of people look at VAR and they think of how it's used in soccer, and obviously it's very, very hard to watch at times, obviously, in soccer, but like just because it's used that way in that sport doesn't mean it has to be used this way. The same way in GA, as an example, it could just be used for serious incidents. It could be something that we don't really have to use at all. I don't think you need 3 or 4 people in a studio, watching the game or anything like that. I think it could just be one person watching a monitor or something of that nature, and then the referee then maybe goes over and makes a decision. But I like the idea as well, like if there being like checks or something like that if something serious kind of happens. Now obviously there is the instance where players could miss something as well. Like, to be fair, I don't think there was actually a lot of Kerry players actually appealing the Murphy incident. I actually think a lot of them maybe just had eyes on the ball, so I actually don't think a lot of them potentially actually seen it when it happened, other than obviously Dylan Casey himself. But yeah, so yeah, I think it is something they could potentially look at. Like, I would just be more worried how they use it as well, though, because I wouldn't want it to slow the game down. I wouldn't want a situation in Gaelic football where a team scores a point or a goal, and then it's like, oh no, let's go back and reverse this and look at this decision and everything else. I wouldn't want it to interfere with like play. But if it came to like serious incidents or anything like that, I think that's maybe where something could work.
Peter's saying here, like we have Hawkeye for scores and detection, deflection, for instance, like this. And she's agreeing with the suggestion there. Brian Gallagher saying, hey, lads, should be a good weekend of action. Peter's also pointing out as well, remember the Richie Hogan set straight red in the All-Ireland final, and even other instances I can think of down through the years, obviously. In 2013, Patrick Hartley's red card against Limerick. There was other sorts of instances, maybe in bow codes as well. Ryan is saying TMO here as well. Porter is saying in here, what about Richie Hogan's red card? That was mentioned by Peter, to be fair. TMO like a Hawkeye ref. And Ryan is saying in here as well, Murphy got away with daylight robbery. So that is the comments on Michael Murphy. Porter saying commented here as well in terms of the under-20s. I'm just going to have a look at it. He was just saying, what about the under-20s? There were some good wins for Tipperary Cork last night. We will probably discuss the under-20s later in the championship in terms of the competitions there. But just a shout-out to Barry O'Flynn from SARS. Obviously, be part of the backroom team in SARS. He actually got a goal against Limerick last night. Barry Walsh got 2-9. So congratulations to Cork for getting a win over Limerick last night. But I'll throw this one to you, Liam, in terms of GA news as well. This was on the same gate as well, and this is obviously Hooter Gate. If anybody listened during the week to Off the Ball, John Cleary was on it during the week talking about obviously the incident involving Mar Shadley and James Conlon in the Division 2 final. So the incident was Mar Shadley was coming out with the ball, James Conlon fouls him, it's given as a free, and then James Conlon catches him along by the legs to delay the quick free, what it looked like. James Conlon gets a black card, but he wasn't pushed up by the referee, Brendan Griffin, and John Cleary was remonstrating with Brendan Griffin as well. And during the week, John was actually trying to get clarification from certain people. RT, he mentioned in the off-the-ball interview, said it wasn't a 50-metre advancement. Eamon Fitzmaurice said it was, who was in charge of the FRC in terms of the rules. Tony Lean from the Irish Examiner actually pointed out some rule where it should have been brought up 50 metres. Obviously, Liam, Meath were probably the better team on Sunday. They reeled off 8 points to 0 at a certain point for Cork, and that goes without saying. They were probably the better team on the day. But in terms of this incident and this Hooter thing I think there's two parts to this. Number one, should Mar Shadley's the foul of Mar Shadley by James Conlon should it have been a black card as well as a 50-metre advancement, number one. And number two, with the Hooter, should this be changed, particularly for the championship? Because as it is now, it's not a great spectacle in terms of this. And when you look at last year in terms of the Hooter, it seemed to be much better.
Yep, in terms of a black card, probably should have been, but I will admit, I'm still not a fan of the ball going up 50 meters. I'll be honest with you. I remember seeing it last year. I think it was the very first game I saw last year when Offaly played Sligo, where I was introduced to the new rules. And I enjoyed most of the new changes because I thought it made football a lot more of a spectacle, and it made it a lot more enjoyable to watch after years of, falling asleep watching matches, to be honest with you. But bringing the ball up 20, 30, 40 yards, 50 yards for me is just not it for me. It's the same with handing the ball straight back to your opponent when it's a free. Like, I can remember I was at Dublin Derry last year after the Dublin Offaly hurling match. We stayed around, and I can't remember who it was that fouled Shane McGuigan from the Dublin side. I don't know if it was Davy Byrne or whoever it was, and I may be careful because he's housemates with my sister. So Davy, if you're listening, I'm sorry for pointing you out here. But like he had to hand the ball back to Shane McGuigan about 20 yards out. And then Shane McGuigan just runs off with it and nearly gets a goal. And at that moment, I was like, no, not a fan of this at all. I know you have to show respect and you have to try and quicken up the game, but handing the ball back to your opponent, bringing the freeze 50 yards up, or even the incident of the ball going out and then not handing the ball back straight. Who was it from Meath and Cork? I can't remember off the top of my head who that was. You remember for the sideline?
Oh, Sean Rafferty, yeah.
Yeah. Like, stuff like that. Like, for me, that's all rubbish, to be honest with you. I'm not a fan of all that stuff. Big fan of the 2-pointers. Big fan of the ball having to go outside of the big arc for a kick out. I think that's a good new rule introduced, to be honest with you, and all that kind of stuff. I think the hooter, the way it was last year, was fine. I didn't see an issue with it. I thought, especially you take the All-Ireland final last year, the build-up to David Clifford's point, and then the absolute excitement. Like, I can remember we were close enough to where he did kick it, and just the roof came off Croke Park when, you know, the slow build-up. David Clifford's been watched and watched and watched. He's not involved in the game in the slightest. And then he comes up with that point, rushes down the pitch at halftime, goes down the tunnel. And, you know, for me, that was nearly essentially the winning of the game for Kerry. But that was a dramatic moment and a build-up moment. Or even going back to our league final against Kildare last year, we were 2 points up in the last minute. And then the hooter goes, and then you realise this is the last kick of the game. Kildare need to get a goal to win it, or they need a draw, otherwise it's game over. I actually like all that. For me, the hooter, the way it is now, not a fan of it at all, because I just worry. Just say, for example, it's Dublin Cork in the All-Ireland final a couple of months' time. Cork are up by a point in the last minute, and then the ball comes to, I don't know, Conor Callahan or Colin Baskel or, you know, Patro Coffeyburn or someone, and he kicks a 2-pointer, and then the ball's in the air, hooter goes. You know, do you give the point and Dublin win the All-Ireland, or do you say, nope, the ball wasn't gone over the bar, the hooter went, Cork win the All-Ireland? Like, I just worry that something like that's going to happen in a couple of months' time. It's all right for Kerry Roscommon. It's a league game at the end of the day. What if this happens in an All-Ireland final? What if this happens in a provincial final? That could cost a team their entire season. So, yeah, look, certain rules I agree with. Some of them either need to go or they need to be restructured again. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, exactly. So attacker number 2 was saying in here about the hooter. No reason to change it at all. From no reason to change the hooter at all. Peter saying in here, hooter was madness. From the FRC. Also, there was commenting here, too much tinkering with the rules lately. Hooter was fine how it was. Peter Griffin is saying in here as well, did they read any feedback at all? And Peter's also saying spot on to Liam there. In terms of your perspective on it, Aaron, firstly, I suppose, was it a 50-metre advancement with the black card? Like that was kind of the weird thing. James Conlon gets the black card, and then there was no 50-metre advancement. That was a bit weird. But as well as that, with the hooter, it is a bit strange, to be fair. I know I said it from the start of the season, I would have rather the hooter as it was last year. Like the David Clifford stuff, I enjoyed that. Even the stuff in Portlaoise between, I think it was Cork and Roscommon as well, where there was one last week. Dermot Murtagh was sizing up an opportunity, and it ended up Daniel O'Malley putting in a good block. Sean Powder punting into the stand. Cork get through to the next round. Like, I enjoyed that sort of aspect with the hooter. But the hooter as it is now, you have situations where teams are going to rush down the field and try to get scores, and that's not entertaining. Or you have a situation in the Division 3 final last Saturday where Down keep the ball for 3 minutes and try to size up an opportunity against Wexford. So I think we're on an agreement that the hooter should have stayed as it was last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree as well, to be honest with you. Like, I feel like it should have stayed the way it was, or it should have been injury time in minutes. Because at least then, like, I think the problem as well, like, at least with injury time, it was open to the discretion of the referee, and a referee's never going to blow the whistle, you know, like when when the ball is in the, you know, the opposition's kind of 20-meter line or something like that. Do you know the way? Like, he's going to allow that to play out. He'll blow the whistle before it gets to that stage if it's over the time, but so yeah, like I think, to be honest, yeah, there is a lot wrong with it. Like Down, yeah, kind of keeping the ball. We've saw in large kind of, and like that's been something that's been happening even before the hooter. You know, like I remember Dublin doing that in the 2017 All-Ireland final against Mayo for the final kind of, you know, 4 or 5 minutes. I don't think you're going to get rid of that unless you change the rules of the game, where a team can only keep the ball for a certain period of time, or there can only be a certain amount of passes. But to be honest with you, I don't know if you can create a rule for that. I think that's limiting the game a little bit too much. And I don't know for the referees whether they'll be able to kind of keep up with that, to be honest, in terms of like a possession count, in terms of how long a team can have the ball. Like, I think it's open to the other team as well. Like, it is up to the other team. Like, people say about that David Clifford point against Donegal, but like, it's up to Donegal as well to stop him. You know what I mean? To put men around him to get the ball off him. And the thing is, if Donegal had have, you know, possessed or had have taken the ball off David Clifford, it's not like the Hooter would have went. They would have had the ball themselves, so they could have went up the other end and got a 2-pointer themselves. Do you know what I mean? But with this new rule now, like it just doesn't allow the opportunity at all. Like you saw at the end of the game when I think Jordan Morris had a free and he kicks the ball and it ends up going out over the sideline. Cork of the ball, but there's like 15 seconds left. But like obviously the clock doesn't stop like during the kickouts as well. So it's, you know, that's 5 or 6, 7 seconds gone. Obviously the descent from James Conlon, that's another 5 or 6 seconds gone. So like they didn't even have the time to actually get the ball up the field, you know, regardless of the 50-meter free, which absolutely it should have been a 50-meter free as well, because we saw it given in the Finbars game obviously earlier in the year in the Munster Club Championship. So, you know, like there's precedent there in terms of doing it. So they absolutely should have. And yeah, it's just, it is like I do think it's worse now, to be honest, because you are seeing like teams now can keep the ball, and like even if they lose the ball, they know the clock's still kind of working in their favor a little bit. Whereas at least previously, like say for example, you know, like as an example, let's say Cork get the ball in the final couple of seconds in the game. At least if they know they've one more attack, they can be patient on the ball, they can wait for the right time and everything else. Whereas now they are just rushing the opportunity, and like even at half time in the Cork Meath game, I don't know what Cork player it was, but he ends up taking a 2-pointer nearly from like the halfway part of the field, and it's just silly, I think, to be honest, you know.
Yeah. Actually, I'm trying to think who was that. Was it Mark Cronin or somebody like that?
I think it might have been Mark Cronin, maybe.
Yeah, I get your point on that. Like it is silly in many ways, and it should never have been changed in terms of the Hooter. We actually, like, you lads discussed this, I remember, the first round of the league between Roscommon and Mayo. Remember Thomas Kennedy's points? Like it's just, and Seamus discussed it as a ticking time bomb, and it is, to be fair. Like the sooner the FRC actually realised the error and changed the Hooter as it was last year, the better, because look, you're going to have less problems as this in many ways. You're going to have less managers come on sides like off the ball, like John Cleary did during the week, and that will be ultimately be better for the FRC if that all happens as well. But Gavin Riley saying in here, bring back last play. Exactly, that's what we're all saying as well. And he's saying as well about Carlo. Carlo didn't know how to use the Hooter either. That's another problem. It's one rule for two divisions and another for two as well. And yeah, I remember watching that Carlo game. It was the same. Central Council could decide it, lads. So yeah, we'll see what Central Council do decide in many ways as well. And the common sense is needed there, Peter saying in here as well. But we will move on to the games, and we'll start off with the big one, Cork against Limerick in the Gaelic grounds on 4 p.m. on TG Car as well. Liam, like, it's kind of a tough one to comprehend because both sides in the next few weeks will go at battle in the Munster Championship in Páirc Uí Chaoimh as well in the next few weeks. But what are you expecting out of this game? And I suppose the biggest question is, who wants this league more?
I think it's 50-50 because I think the two of them, there's such a rivalry there now. It's like Kilkenny and Tip back in the day. If they met in a league final, yes, they want to meet in an All-Ireland final. But it's just like when these two meet each other, it could be a challenge match and they just go hammer and tongs at each other. Do you know what I mean? Because there's such a hatred there. There's no love whatsoever. And the two of them want to batter each other. I actually don't see either team holding back this weekend. And, you know, I've been listening to a couple of podcasts over the last day or two, the Irish Independent one and the RT one. And, you know, Pat Ryan and John Milan and all them and Michael Dignan, they're all saying the same thing. I don't expect either team to hold back. And I completely disagree. I completely agree. And we've just kicked Aaron out. Aaron's left. He'll be back with us in a second, hopefully. But no, I don't expect either team to hold back, to be honest with you. I don't think this thing of, you know, oh, they don't want to show their hand too early or anything like that. I think these two just know each other enough already that there won't be a need to hold each other back because they both know what each other's like really at this stage. And I think both of them will be gunning to win national silver. You take Limerick, haven't won the All-Ireland since 2023, lost to Cork in a Munster final last year, were knocked out by Dublin last year in a quarter final, which would have shook them to the very core. They'll be desperate to get back on the high horse, win a bit of silverware and grow a bit of confidence going into the new season. Whereas with Cork, won the league last year. Sorry, I think this deserves to be shown up.
Yeah, I know.
I will forgive you. It's okay. But no. But then you have Cork, won the league last year, won the Munster Championship, but then obviously lost the All Ireland. They'd be desperate to get back again this year. Go to Limerick if they can go to Limerick and beat them again in another final in their own ground, and give Ben O'Connor a bit of silverware in his first season. I mean, that'd just be absolutely savage, and it'd do so much, I think, for the confidence of this group. And it's going to be interesting to see the matchups as well. I mean, sure, you have Dara Fitzgibbon. Is he going to be marking Kyle Hayes, or is he going to be picked up by potentially Dara or Diarmaid Burns, or potentially Colin Coughlin? Is he going to start? Who's going to pick up? I just said Dara Fitzgibbon. Who's going to pick up Shane O'Brien? Do you have O'Leary at fullback? Do you have Kieran Joyce at fullback? Do you know what I mean? Do you bring Downey potentially back to fullback? Do you know what I mean? There's a couple of options there for O'Connor to think about. Who's going to be? Is Alan Connolly going to be sticking to the freeze for Cork this weekend, or are they going to be switching it around once again? Can Aidan O'Connor deliver for Limerick in a big final this weekend? Can Cian Lynch get back to his very best? Can Adam English deliver? There's a lot of questions going into this weekend, but I'm actually really excited to see them two just going hammering tongues at each other. These two teams really only know how to put on banger after banger after banger, to be honest with you. Like, even the league game that they played last year in the round robin, it still was dramatic for the fact that you had the Seamus Flanagan incident and, the whole thing of not being shown on TG Caher and all that. And then last year, look, a lot of people didn't enjoy last year's Munster final. I loved it, even with all the misses in the match and all that, because there was a lot of drama and there was tension there. Do you know what I mean? And especially after what Limerick done to Cork the first day, to see Cork then come out with a response, I think was just absolute cinema, to be honest with you. And then going all the way to a penalty shootout, which still don't know if I'm a fan of penalty shootout deciding GEA matches, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, it created drama for all of us. So I suppose we won't complain from that perspective. And I mean, Cork won, so I doubt you're caring at this point, Matthew, as well. But no, I think these two are going to go hammering tongues at each other this weekend, and I expect it to be an absolute cracking final, to be honest. And especially at a potential sold-out Gaelic grounds as well, these two teams will not want to leave anything out there but 100%.
In terms of the penalty shootout question, like Tom Bowersey said, he was good for the game, and he's like he part of the Limerick panel, so I'm just gonna leave that there. Ryan Gallagher is saying in here, will Ben O'Connor want the league? Does the dog shit in the wood? Seriously, like Ben has said previously that he wants to win every game, so I don't think that kind of perspective is going to change in a league final. Simple as that. No matter which Tipperary coming up, it doesn't matter. If both teams are playing to their full potential, I think Limerick are a slightly better team. That's a Porter singing here. Attackers number 2 was singing here. Cork will have eyes for Tip, in my opinion. Peter singing here as well that I think so, especially in the Gaelic grounds. And there's a few more comments in here from Sean O'Malley saying he can't see either team giving too much away in terms of the player management or effort. But I can't wait to see them clash on the 26th. I expect both it to be an absolute cracker. Darrell Reedy singing here, don't think Cork will go all out for it. Way too much to lose. Lose Sunday could roll over for 2 weeks, and they could have a good go Tip. Then they'd be facing into a knockout game against Limerick in the park. Ryan Gallagher's singing here. Peter and Ryan are having a bit of a discussion in the chat as well. Sean O'Malley singing here. It's worth a question how Alan Connolly does against the best teams, particularly on freeze. My prediction is at least 2 red cards. Pretty big, and Shane Hines will be sore from all the writing. Absolutely, Aaron, it is a fascinating encounter, I have to say, between Cork and Limerick. But this league final, it is probably the biggest question out of this, and probably the most interesting question. And everybody's mentioned in the comments, and I did ask this to Liam, and I'll ask this to you as well. Who wants it more, really? Would it be Cork or would it be Limerick?
It's kind of hard to know, to be honest. It's a weird situation for a league final where I feel like both teams almost don't want to win the game, or both teams don't want to give much away and don't want to play their hand and everything else. You feel like Limerick maybe have more to prove, a little bit more, given the fact that they obviously, in big kind of games of the last couple of seasons. I know Limerick beat Cork in the league this year. I know they beat them in the round robin last season as well, but in terms of the big games, the knockout games, Cork have gotten the better of Limerick in those games. So for Limerick, having the opportunity to get one over on the Rebels and get one over on this Cork side, I think would be absolutely huge from a Limerick perspective. And yeah, I think it probably means more slightly to Limerick, to be honest, to get a bit of silverware on the board. Obviously, last season they didn't win anything, which I think definitely would have hurt John Cúilín and the Limerick management team. So I think it's absolutely huge from a Limerick perspective to get over the line and get the victory, especially with some of the newer players as well. Like, it's an opportunity to test them out versus this Cork side. And I think to be going into the Munster Championship with 2 wins against the Rebels, I think would be huge. And I think the momentum that they could carry then going into the league campaign, I think would be huge. Like, we've saw what teams have done with the league in the last couple of seasons. Clare won the league, went on to win the All-Ireland. All right, Cork didn't win the All-Ireland last season, but they carried that momentum very much into the championship. So yeah, no, I think it probably would mean a little bit more to Limerick, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. So our thought about Limerick's younger generation and younger talent in many ways, Liam, like out of their top scorers, like 3 of their top scorers are, let's call it, from the younger generation of Limerick players. Aidan O'Connor is 155, Colin O'Neill is 311 for play, Shane O'Brien is 211 for play. Then fourth, unusually, you have Aaron Gillan there on 2-9. To be fair, he scored a lot from play. That is good tally from play, to be fair to him. But the likes of Aidan O'Connor really take you on the battle for the free. Shane O'Brien is an absolute linchpin in the full forward line as well. Colin O'Neill, what a year he's had, inter-county, obviously with college and Fitzgibbon for UL as well. And in the top 5, you have Adam English around midfield with 11 points as well. And he's the guy that really makes Limerick tick as well. You mentioned Colin Coughlin at the start as well, Liam. Like, the younger talents are really shining from a Limerick point of view. And it probably takes the pressure off Gillan, Hagerty, Morrissey, Lynch, all these sorts of players.
Exactly so. And it's why I just can't fathom why a lot of people are writing off Limerick, or saying, even people saying this is their last dance or this is their last chance. I think it's a load of horseshit. I think there's still a good, like, then a lot of people probably say for years, oh, this is Cody's last year, or people probably said, oh, this is Ferguson's last year, or whatever. I don't see Kylie going anytime soon. I don't see this Limerick team going anytime soon. I think the players that they have coming through, like you mentioned there, like, I'm really impressed with Cathal O'Neill, not just, this year, but over the last couple of years. I think he's a fine specimen of a man. I can tell you that. I stood beside him for briefly after the Fitzgibbon Cup final. I shook his hand and I went, felt a vibration there. Like, he's so big, to be honest with you. But, players like himself, Adam English, who I think if Limerick were to win the All-Ireland this year, I'd be guessing either Cathal O'Neill or Adam English will probably be hurler of the year at the end of the year. I think the two of them are just absolutely terrific hurlers. I really enjoy watching them play. Aidan O'Connor has really stood up this year, like in certain games as well, when Limerick weren't going as well in the forward line. He was the one who stepped up for them, games like Tipperary, even games against Offaly where they weren't actually going particularly well against us, but Aidan O'Connor was the one who was ticking for them. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's been really, really showing up for them this season. And yeah, it does take the pressure off some of the older lads. You're absolutely right. They have a good crop of young players coming through. I mean, Shane O'Brien, he's called the Bull for an absolute reason. When he sniffs a goal, he's right there, and most of the time he's going to bury it into the back of the net, or he's going to pick it over the bar. I think his runs are excellent. Aaron Gillan has been very unselfish this year, I'd say. So I don't know who it was. I'm not sure who it was on a podcast I listened to a couple of weeks ago, but somebody was mentioning about, why is Aaron Gillan running in the same direction as Shane O'Brien or something like that when the ball's being crisscrossed to him by Kyle Hayes, whatever. It's smartness. Even playing hurling myself, sometimes you got to drag someone out of position because it's being aimed for another forward. Do you know what I mean? If you could take the cornerback or the fullback, whichever one man you're on, out of position, your man wins the ball and then they've got a clear run ahead of them. That's what he's doing at the moment for the likes of Shane O'Brien. It's creating that space inside so that you can drag Downey, O'Leary, O'Donoghue, players like that out of position so that they can have a clear-cut run at the goal. So, no, I think Aaron Gillan's really even developed his own game this season. Look, I expect Cian Lynch to have a big game. He always seems to, enjoy playing against Cork as well over the last number of years. Look, you've Will O'Donoghue there. You've obviously Kyle Hayes there. You've still big, strong men there who will want to get themselves a title this weekend, especially in front of their home crowd as well. Yeah, no, look, this Limerick team is something else, I have to say. Look, they lost to Dublin last year, but as I say, big deal. A lot of teams have blips along the way. Kilkenny lost to Cork in 2013. They came back the following year and won the All-Ireland. They then won the All-Ireland in the year after. Do you know what I mean? Tipperary were a shambles in 2018. Come back in 2019, they won the All-Ireland. Do you know what I mean? Teams have these blips along the way. It happens. It's natural. Like Dublin Dublin lost to Mayo in 2021, when they were on their unbelievable run. 2 years later, they were back beating Kerry in an All-Ireland final. Like, these things happen. These blips happen. So I think Limerick will be going for it this weekend, but then I still do think Cork will go for it as well. Cork have, like Aaron was saying there, bet them in an All-Ireland semi-final in 2024, bet them in a Munster final last year. They've had the grip on them in these real important games. Even in 2024, Limerick could have knocked Cork out in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. And when Seamus Flanagan's third goal went in, I remember watching that game in Sweden and I said, that's it now. Limerick have come back. Cork have blown this. And then they get the penalty. And so you saw the momentum then when, Brian Hayes' point went over the bar, game was over. You saw the momentum that brought, and Cork haven't looked back since. They've been on a great run ever since. They've only lost, one championship game, two championship games, but one really important championship game since. Do you know what I mean? So they've been on a great run ever since. And I actually have a feeling that Cork actually might do it this weekend. In the long term, I feel like Limerick might still be the stronger side to Cork at this present moment in time. But I've got a sneaky feeling that Ben O'Connor will want to, like you said there, he wants to win every game. Of course he does. Why else would he be Cork manager? Why else would he be in there? He's a winner at the end of the day. He's won an under-20 All-Ireland with Cork. He'll want to win the actual senior All-Ireland with Cork. So I think Limerick could maybe be in front of half-time, but I could actually see Cork coming back and winning the game in the second half. I think someone like Darragh Fitzgibbon, who goes out and has an unbelievable game every single day that he goes out, I think if he can have another one of those days this weekend, then I think Cork might spoil the party down in the Gaelic grounds.
Prediction here from Set and Play prediction. Cork will beat Limerick and Dublin will beat Clare. Porter or Sean O'Malley rather saying here, I expect Cork to win. Ben O'Connor will be eager to get off the mark. Porter saying here, I don't agree. That is the last chance for Cúilín Limerick team to beat this year. Peter Griffin disagrees though. He says Cúilín's last year apparently. I don't know where Peter gets his source there, but we'll have to see. Porter saying Limerick by 7 as well. And Roy Gallagher saying here as well, Limerick 3-19, Cork 1-22. Should be an interesting game in general there as well. But I suppose, Aaron, when you look at Cork, Alan Connolly's really excelled in terms of the scores there as well. It is very interesting to see their scores. I think Alan Connolly has 1 goal and 29 points. Darragh Fitzgibbon has 2 goals and 16. Brian Hayes has 5 goals and 6. Shane Barrett has 15 points. William Buckley has 110. So there's a good spread of scores there from a Cork point of view there as well. And Alan Connolly seems to be the number one free taker, which is the big thing for Ben O'Connor. But as Liam mentioned there, Fitzgibbon, Hayes, Barrett, potentially even William Buckley, the way he's performed in the league so far, they're probably Cork's key threats.
Absolutely, yeah. It's an absolutely stacked panel in terms of the players that you have, and even some of the kind of newer players you've been able to introduce obviously over the last couple of years, like German Healy obviously was another one who really kind of caught the eye last season. So Cork are absolutely stacked. And I think one thing that Ben O'Connor has done is made you maybe a little bit more physical or a little bit more kind of aggressive in terms of a tackling. Turning the ball over as well, and probably being a little bit more sturdy, I think maybe is the right kind of term. I think technically, look, for the last couple of years, we know the talents that Cork have, that's never been an issue. But it has maybe just been that physical approach or that kind of battle hardness or something of that nature, maybe that Cork have been missing. But as you said, Alan Connolly's been obviously in phenomenal form. He is that type of player that can very quietly go and score a hat-trick or something like that. You know what I mean? I feel like he's the type of player that could pop up with 2-1 or 2-2 and he wouldn't even be the star of the show. We'd be speaking about someone else maybe. But he's such a goal getter. He's a bit of a poacher, really. He always kind of finds himself in the right positions at the right time. And he's obviously been phenomenal. Darragh Fitzgibbon, I think, has been talked about maybe as an early contender for Hurler of the Year. He's been absolutely brilliant so far for Cork this season. It is going to be interesting to see obviously the team sheets as well this weekend in terms of will both go as strong as they can. But I do think you want to carry that momentum going into the championship, and I think it's been mentioned before that Cork, I think is Cork's first 2 games Tipperary and Limerick. I don't know, I don't think Cork will want to go in to Tipperary and Limerick on the back of a loss. Do you know what I mean? Because if they were to lose to Limerick and then they go and lose to Tipperary, then they have to play Limerick again. All of a sudden they're up against it. I know in previous seasons Cork have lost 2 games in the opening round, or the opening 2 games in Munster, and actually still found a way to go through, but you are relying on other results. And I always think that's a dangerous game when you're looking at other results and everything else, because all it takes is one result to go against you, and then you're gone. Do you know what I mean? So, I do actually think it is quite important for Cork to win this game.
It is definitely Peter Griffin is saying in here in terms of a prediction. Limerick 130, Cork 220. Aaron Gallant again, man of the match, and he's saying Limerick score over 30 points as well. Attacker number 2 was saying in here as well. Cork's full back line has been their undoing in the last few years, and they go and give up goal chances. But Liam, you did say earlier that Cork will spoil the party of the Gaelic ground to get over the line. Why do you believe that'll be the outcome in the end? And I have to ask you as well about Cork's maybe full back line, and as attacker number 2 said there as well, in terms of the full back kind of conundrum. Darragh O'Leary has been the first choice full back for most of the league campaign. Owen Downey was last year in the All-Ireland final. We all know what happened there with John McGrath. Kieran Joyce was against Offaly and apparently didn't play to his best standards in many ways as well. So it'd be interesting to see who actually does man the full back position for Cork at the weekend. And yeah.
Sorry. Yep, that's happened again. I wouldn't have it for Kieran Joyce being fullback, I'll be honest with you. Because, look, not even just because I don't think he got the best test against Offaly, I will be honest about it, but I also don't think he was great, and I don't think it's his position. Like Brian O'Mara played a fullback for a few games for Tipperary. I think that position maybe suits him a small bit more. I think Joyce has so much to give. I think Joyce could actually work potentially at centre back, maybe. Like, he's big, he's strong, he's very athletic, he's good at catching the ball, he's good at striking the ball. I feel like his best position is wing back, I will be honest with you. I think that you could disagree with me, Matthew. You see more of him than I would, even with club and everything like that. But I just don't see him as a fullback, to be honest with you. I don't know whether about Owen Downey at fullback either. I think O'Leary, for me, probably is the best shout at the moment to be at fullback, to be honest with you. But obviously, it has been the major discussion for Cork over the last couple of years, their full back line. You know, it's probably been their Achilles heel to a degree over the last couple of years, because everywhere else on the pitch, really, Cork arguably have the best starting 15 in the country. It's just the full back line that has been, you know, people's worries over the last number of years, and in particularly last year, it's where it obviously kind of came crumbling down in the end. But I think he needs to get a solid full back line sorted for this year, because I think the rest of the team, to a small bit of a degree, sort of, there's players in there at the moment that you sort of know, right, they're going to realistically, when the championship comes along, they're going to start. Like your Shane Barrett's, your Darragh Fitzgibbons, your Brian Hayes, your Robert Downeys, Mark Colbins, Tim O'Mahony's. These are the players, Podge Collins, these are the players that you know are going to start realistically. I said Podge Collins, Patrick Collins, but anyways, these are the players that are going to start. It's your full back line that you need to get absolutely right. And especially if you're, just for heaven's sake at the moment, I don't think Limerick have named their team, but if you have Aaron Gallant, Shane O'Brien in the full forward line, you push Aidan O'Connor maybe in a corner forward, you could easily throw, Tom Morrissey into corner forward. Is Peter Casey's fit, isn't he? Or am I mistaken? Or
I think he is, yeah.
He should be fit, yeah. Like you've those players in the full forward line. And we've seen it over the last number of years. Limerick have exploited Cork's full back line over the years very, very badly, but other teams have as well. So I think if O'Connor can get the full back line absolutely spot on this weekend. But look, let's not forget, Gallant hasn't exactly been firing on all cylinders from scoring fronts either. It's not been the best of seasons from him. It's just because we expect so much from him, but it's not been the best scoring of seasons from him. But it's keeping Shane O'Brien quiet. If you can limit him to even a point, because I do expect him to maybe score in this game, but if you can keep him quiet to that sort of a degree, then you're going a long, long way. I think if Cork can win the full forward, full back line battle, then they'll go a long, long way to winning this game, because you then have your players like Shane Barrett and Darragh Fitzgibbons and your Brian Hayes, who I think Brian Hayes arguably right now is the best corner forward probably in the country, alongside the likes of maybe an Owen Cody or possibly, if you had Shane O'Brien out of corner forward or, something like that. But yeah, look, I think if you keep that full back line or that full forward line quiet from a Cork perspective, then you're going a long, long way to win this game, 100%.
So Liam has predicted a Cork win there. I'll probably back Cork as well to win this encounter. Cork would be desperate to win the Gaelic Grounds before the championship kicks off or throws in, should I say. And yeah, I'm going to say Cork will nick it as well. Will you make it 3 from 3, Aaron?
I'm actually going to back Limerick to get over the line. To be honest, I still think they have a little bit more to prove, in my opinion. Going into the game, as I was saying previously, obviously having lost the Munster final and everything else, and a few kind of big games to Cork. I think they are in the better form as well in terms of how they finished the league campaign. They obviously have to win over Cork under their belt as well. With it being in the Gaelic grounds, I think that'll be an added incentive. So. I think it'll be very close, to be honest. Like, I'm going to go for a 1-point win. So, like, it's, when you're predicting a 1-point win, it could very, very easily go either way. I think extra time could be a possibility. Is penalties even a possibility here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it could be. Yeah, like, I could, don't be surprised if we're watching penalties again. But I am going to go with Limerick by the bare minimum.
We won't mention penalties.
Yeah, probably not, actually, to be fair. This one last week. Fucking hell.
Still not over it.
Peter saying here, match of the tickets go out to all the Cork clubs. Cork heard there was mayhem. Even I think it's Dublin clubs sending tickets to Leeside. Yeah, there was a few tickets that went on general sale, I think, on Monday in the Clare end. That's what I was hearing. But yeah, we should see what happens in the game. Hope Cork and Dublin win, expect Limerick and Clare to win, is what Robert B is saying in here. But we will move on to the next game. I'm saying Cork, Liam is saying Cork, and Aaron is saying Limerick slightly, but it should be a cracker of a game. Look at the second game, obviously, in the Gaelic grounds, or the first game, the curtain raiser of the Gaelic grounds on Sunday. It is the Division 1B final between Clare and Dublin. It's live at DigiCar as well. Are you nervous about this game, Aaron, in many ways? Like, Clare have been going pretty well in the league. Dublin technically had a better season than Clare last year, reaching the All-Ireland semi-finals. And Clare, obviously, hard to believe they were All-Ireland champions 2 years ago. But do you have the capabilities to beat Clare? And let's be honest, like the Gaelic grounds, Clare would probably be more used to the pitch, so it probably is an advantage to them.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, yeah, look, I don't think we should be fearing Clare, to be honest with you. Like, we were 2 points off them in the opening round. That was obviously away in Ennis, and that's obviously a ground they'd have a lot of familiarity with themselves. Obviously, would have been their home venue. We were very unlucky not to beat them that day, and we had a lot of chances towards the end of the game that we didn't take, and Clare kind of pipped us sort of at the death. But yeah, I think we've proven over the last kind of 12 months or so, and over the last couple of years, that we can compete with these teams. We beat Limerick, we've had some big results and big performances versus Galway. Obviously, Kilkenny has been the one that have had our number, in fairness, but we've had some kind of big results and big performances. Look, I think it is a free hit. Look, we're promoted. There's nothing to worry about. I think the only thing I wouldn't want to see here is like if we got hammered or something like that, because we could carry that into the Leinster Championship, and then that could maybe be a bit of an issue. But I think we absolutely do have the capabilities to go toe to toe with this Clare team. Like I think in terms of forwards as well, in terms of how well some of our forwards are playing, like Sullivan's coming in great form. Obviously, John Heatherton has been like brilliant. I think as well, like a lot of people look at John Heatherton as like a bear in the square, kind of loop the ball into him. But I think he's proven this year that he's a little bit more than that. I think skill wise, like against Wexford, like some of the control, the flicks, and even for one of his goals as well, like was absolutely outstanding. It's great to see Dara Power getting more involved as well. He's had 2 very good games in the last 2 matches, one against Carlow, one against Down. Scoring 8 points combined in both of those 2 games. So we're coming in very strong. It's going to be interesting to see with Clare, because Clare, like, you do feel like the game maybe means more to Dublin a little bit than Clare, because Clare are going in obviously to the Munster Championship. They're going to have their eyes obviously set on that game. There is rumours about certain players maybe not playing from a Clare perspective as well. So that's obviously going to be interesting to see. So I give Dublin every chance. I really, really do. And yeah, I give us a great chance.
Beast is actually saying here, Aaron, Dublin hurling looking good this year. Could see them going far. Absolutely, they look in a good place at the moment as well. There's a comment in here as well saying that Sean O'Malley saying, I think Dublin will beat Clare. I like the way they're moving under Nilo Calcon. And I think Clare albeit they beat them on the way in since they have an All-Ireland and the big day in them as well. There's a comment in here from Peter as well saying that he fancies Dublin as well. He was more impressed with Dublin against Kildare than Clare in Newbridge. And he was saying here, Sir Farrell, Brian Carroll made the point that the Dubs don't travel too well beyond the pale. I'm not sure what the pale means, to be honest, but we will move. Porter is also saying here, Dubs win. So I think that's a Tipperary fan back in Dublin as well. A lot of people backing Dublin for this game. But when you look at Clare's form, Liam, obviously they've won every game. Mark Rogers, Tony Kelly, when they have played, they've been absolutely sensational. Mark Rogers has won 15 in the league so far. Tony Kelly has won 16. Even Shane Meehan, 2-13 from play in this league campaign. Peter Duggan, 2-9. Dermot Stritch, another new player with 13 points. David Reedy, 1-8. David Fitzgerald's up there as well. So is Senan Dunford, Jack O'Neill. So Clare have some good performing players. And they were comfortable in a game that they didn't need to win against Wexford either as well, with kind of a second team out. How important is it for Clare to win, especially before the Munster Championship? But that game against Waterford, the first game that they do have in Munster, that's absolutely huge for Clare. So do they need to win this game to kind of breed winning confidence into this Clare team in winning game number one and winning a trophy as well, a national trophy number two?
Well, I suppose, first of all, if Dublin do lose this weekend, Aaron, can you at least take the bad form into the Offaly game, and then you can do what you want after that? Just give us something. You can do what you want after that. But no, in all seriousness, yeah, look, I think Clare coming to this game, look, they're in good form. There's no point saying otherwise. But I suppose, considering where they were 2 years ago, you probably expected it, to be honest with you. Like, they put, 335 pass down. They were comfortable against Wexford. The only real tough game, I would say, well, look, Kildare put up a good fight against them. But I think the only real kind of tough game they had was ironically on the opening day against Dublin, and I think Dublin should have won that day. I completely agree with Aaron. I think Dublin should have won that day against Clare, to be honest with you. But like you mentioned there, look, there are some good players from Clare. You mentioned like Shane Meehan there, Peter Duggan, who I'm a big fan of. I like Dermot Stritch, to be honest with you. He's a bit of like an old school type of hurler, to be honest with you, especially with the hair as well. I like watching him play. I saw him a couple of times for UL this year as well. I'm really impressed with him. Jack O'Neill as well, who I think could be in for a potential breakout season as well. I mean, David Reedy is one of the finest forwards in the country, as is Tony Kelly. I mean, they've got some strong character. I mean, John Condon nearly lost a finger and he's still going out and performing for his county. That says everything you need to know about the man and the character of a lot of these Clare lads. But in terms of, yeah, it's a funny one because, like you said there, I was not one bit impressed with Wexford against Clare. I think that was maybe more down to Wexford being poor than Clare being great or anything like that. Like you mentioned, Clare didn't have to win that game. There was nothing on the line for them, but yet they were still very comfortable. But that probably said more about Wexford than anything else, to be honest with you. So, but look, Clare are probably, look, they're more used to playing in the Gaelic grounds. And I can remember, Clare beating Dublin a couple of years ago, fairly comfortably in the All-Ireland quarter-final. But I think Dublin have massively improved since then. I've been a big fan of Neil O'Callaghan since he won the All-Ireland with Na Fianna. I won't mention who he bet in the Leinster final. I don't remember who he bet in the Leinster final at all. I don't recall it at all. But, he's done a great job with Dublin over the last while. I don't even think it was just the Limerick win. Even against Kilkenny last year, okay, you had a very bad first half. You came back in the second half very, very strong. And I think a lot of players with Dublin have improved massively as well. Like, I think Sean Curry has just exploded into life. You saw what he did last year against the likes of Limerick. He had an unbelievable season. You've Keane O'Sullivan there. You've Liam Rush, back as well. I mean, that's a huge, huge audition. O'Donnell back as well. Like, they're buying into this Dublin project. Dublin could be in for a potential switch of the codes over the next couple of years. It could become more of a hurling county than maybe a football one, which would be mad to think. Or maybe it won't, I don't know. But you have a lot of good young players coming through as well. Diarmuid O'Dooling, who I think is a real fabulous young hurler as well. I think he's going to make a big breakthrough over the next couple of years as well. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think because, there is the top. Look, Munster Championship is better than the Leinster Championship at the moment. There's no question about that. But that's not to say you saw okay, Cork absolutely destroyed Dublin in the All-Ireland semi-final last year, but you saw Dublin knocking out Limerick. They should have beaten Clare in the opening round. I think Dublin are capable of beating Waterford in a championship match. I think they'd put it up to Tipperary. I don't think they'd beat them necessarily at the moment, but they'd put it up to them. So Dublin are a team that are firmly on the rise at the moment. And, they're going into a big Leinster Championship campaign, which I can imagine Neil O'Callaghan will absolutely be going to win, not just get to a final, but I think he wants to win the Leinster Championship this year because you look at teams like Kilkenny, they're not as strong as they used to be. Galway, whilst we're all saying that they're all very good at the moment and, they could be in for a good season, they could also fall apart fairly quickly. Do you know what I mean? Offaly just not there at the moment, unfortunately. I don't think. Kildare only just come up. So there's a great opportunity for Dublin to have a big year this year. And I think that could potentially start this weekend down in the Gaelic grounds. And what better way to introduce yourself into the Leinster Championship than by beating the team that won the All-Ireland 2 years ago? And I think they're going to do it. I think Dublin are actually going to beat Clare this weekend. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think it's going to be tight. Clare, I still think will want to go for it because I think they'll look at it and say, listen, we won the All-Ireland 2 years ago. If we don't win Division 1B, then it's a shambles from our perspective, which I don't think it personally is, because I still think Division 1B is not exactly an easy division to be in. And Dublin you have to give Dublin a lot more respect than that. But at the same time, I think Dublin, and it's been a while since Dublin won anything as well. Let's not forget that. Dublin will want to put something on the board. They'll want to win a national title of some degree, win something of some degree. So, yeah, I have a funny feeling Dublin this weekend will actually beat Clare. Now watch Clare go and spank Dublin. Sorry, Aaron, after me saying that. But no, I have a funny feeling this weekend we'll be seeing a Cork Dublin double, and I'll have to listen to you two and Seamus for the next couple of weeks while I sit here with all my losses. But no, I think Dublin will win this weekend.
Interesting prediction there. Liam Rush being back for the championship could definitely add something, is saying Sean O'Malley here. Attacker number 2 was saying, I fancy us. I think us means Dublin. We need to be winning games like this to prove that we are actually a hurling county now. Peter's singing here, Aaron, what do you make of Rushy coming back to the fold? I might ask Aaron that in a sec. Roy Gallagher singing here, Head Job will be a big hero. Beat is singing here, Clare have played a lot of new lads this year. I think they are in a good spot heading into Munster. Porter was talking about Clare's defence here as well, saying that they did lead 3 goals to Kildare as well. All due respect to Kildare, absolutely. Ryan Gallagher singing here as well. Or I'll go on to which comment will I go on to next? I'll actually go to you, Aaron, in terms of a prediction, in terms of Liam Rush's comeback into the Dublin team. Peter Griffin actually saying an interesting comment here about loans last year as well. So it should be very interesting to see that. But yeah, Aaron, like Liam Rush could be back into the team. Are you pleased with that? Are you pleased with Dublin's scores in terms of Donald Burke 148, John Henderson 48 from play, Darragh Purcell 114, Fergal Whiteley 113, Crean O'Sullivan 110, Brian Hayes at 18, Dermot O'Dooling with 18. Are you pleased with how Dublin are motoring so far? And obviously Rush coming back in, that's big.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's huge. It's going to add that bit of experience and that bit of know-how. He's played in many a big game for Dublin down the years, and yeah, he's a fantastic addition to have back into the team. And as you said there, with some of the scores as well, like we've, like in previous seasons, there maybe had been a bit of maybe an over-reliance on 1 or 2 players, like Ronan Hayes and Donald Burke were kind of carrying the torch a little bit, but it does really feel spread around a lot more in terms of Darragh Purcell, Darragh Power. Like there are a lot of players now kind of really contributing to this Dublin side. And yeah, I think we've proven it in terms of going toe to toe with a lot of the best teams over the last kind of couple of seasons. And I do agree with some of the comments as well. Like I think Dublin, it probably does mean that bit more for them to win this game, like to kind of prove themselves a little bit, to kind of carry that momentum. I think if we win this game, I could see us going on a run then in Leinster and everything else. If we were to lose it, like it is probably another kind of near miss that Dublin do seem to kind of get a lot of the time when they play like Kilkenny, Clare, and these kind of teams. So, yeah, it's absolutely huge. But I think our forward power, our attacking intent, like in the Clare game as well. Like obviously the game wasn't broadcasted on TV, I wasn't there, but watching the highlights back, like the amount of opportunities, goal chances we were creating as well, the problems we were causing for the Clare's defence. I don't think there was another team in the division that caused as many problems against Clare. I know Kildare happened to score 3 goals against them, to be fair. So Kildare took their opportunities on the day when we didn't. But I think we're going to do it. And look, maybe I'm a bit biased in regards to Dublin there, but I do just think with Clare, like it's more of like a challenge game type game for them, in my opinion. Like I feel like Dublin have to prove more. And even though it is in the Gaelic grounds, and even though there probably will be more Clare fans there than Dublin fans there, I still think we can go and do it and get over the line.
Interesting as well. In Nelly's first inter-county trophy, saying Peter Griffin here, we'll miss Russia and TGR, but great to see him back. Ryan Gallagher singing here, Dubs away 1 with Hedgehoe getting a late winner. Interesting. Hedgehow to have a classic at Dubs to win by 4. We'll get to the double header debate in a sec. Lads, did you see the date of the release of the pre-championship predictions? Not as of yet, Peter. We will decide that in due course. But in terms of prediction for me, look, like you both said, Dublin. Will I make it 3 from 3 here? Sorry, Aaron, no. Sorry.
You led me on there.
Yeah, that was real dramatic.
No, to be fair, no, I have given Clare a lot of stick, let's call it, over the last year or so. I don't particularly like Clare, obviously, as a Cork fan, but look, they're in Division 1B. It's sort of a situation, I don't know, you might correct me on this, Liam. It's sort of like a situation before the Offaly-Waterford game last year, where a lot of people were thinking, okay, Offaly could test Waterford. Waterford aren't great. But then Waterford put up a decent enough showing in the first half and blow Offaly away afterwards.
Yeah, the scoreline was a bit wrong, to be honest with you. There were 15 points up with 10, 15 minutes to go. We kicked into gear, not taking it away from our lads. They put up a great fight in the end, but yeah, I do get where you're coming from that perspective. Like, it could turn out something like that, but I also do think Dublin are in a better place now than maybe we were last year. Maybe I felt maybe the occasion kind of got to us last year. I don't think it will for Dublin this year, but look, that's just my opinion anyways.
Yeah, I just feel like Munster hurling will show like they are probably the best championship in the country as well. Clare would argue, like Dublin, okay, they're on a rise themselves under Neil O'Callaghan, and they've done excellent to even get to a league final in this Division 1B campaign, to get to the All-Ireland semi-final the way they did last year to beat Limerick. But Clare would feel to themselves, we shouldn't have been down in this division. And they want to prove to themselves as well that they want to win this game as well. And obviously the Gaelic grounds is a massive factor. Like, it's like if anybody doesn't know geography in terms of the Gaelic ground, it is literally in Clare. So it's literally home advantage for Clare as well. So yeah, I just feel like Clare will get over the line in terms of their scores, in terms of Mark Rogers, Tony Kelly. If Clare play their first team, Shane O'Donnell, if he plays in this game as well, that probably boosts my point even more as well. Like, I think Clare are probably being slept on by so many people in the league just because they're playing against lower tier opposition. But they are very, very good. They probably had a bad year last year, and that's why everybody's writing them off. But they won't have a bad year this year. The Lightning will not strike twice in terms of that. And I think Clare will win this game in general as well. Limerick, Clare will destroy Cork and Dublin, says Acers. Okay. Beats is saying in here, Clare could come in and shock everyone this year. And then Peter is saying in here, in Clare. Well, it is Peter. Liam, back me up on this.
There's the Clare end. Like, it's a funny one. Yeah, it's even if it's not in Clare, it's on the border. Like, it's literally on the border. Do you know? It's kind of funny, to be honest with you. Like, I couldn't imagine O'Connor Park being on the border with Laois, or I wouldn't want O'Moore Park being on the border with Offaly. Like, that would feel wrong to me. But yeah, it's look, I can't say it is in Clare, but there is a Clare end, so that would tell you everything you need to know. So, like, you know,
the thing is as well, Liam, and you probably know is this: in the Living Bridge in the University of Limerick, you could literally walk across the bridge and you go into Clare.
Yeah, but that bridge still gives me nightmares. Every time I walked on it, I thought it was going to collapse. So I think they need to still get that fixed if anyone from UL is watching. But yeah, no, it was good times. It was good times.
Exactly, yeah. In terms of we have our predictions there. We feel like, well, it's a split on all the predictions. Obviously, we mostly said Cork for the first game. We mostly said Dublin for the second game. But we will see what happens in terms of that as well. Oh no, that's the different comment. Peter saying it here, and I wanted to discuss this before we end the show. The double header hard for ticket wise. To be honest with you, I feel sorry for Dublin more than anything, Aaron, in terms of this. In terms of a double header, I'm not sure why there's a double header. Like, Cork and Limerick would sell out itself. So why there's a double header between the two? I actually watched a bit of Cole Parks' podcast as well, and just a clip of it. And he was mentioning a very good point as well. The Clare and Dublin fans, like, let's call it the ultras or the young boys from Clare and Dublin, would want to leave before the Cork and Limerick game and obviously go downtown to enjoy the day out with their friends. obviously rightly so. It is a day out and whatever as well. But like, if you had Clare and Dublin in a more neutral venue like a Portlaoise or a Tullamore, that probably would have enticed a lot to come to this game as well. And it probably will mean there won't be a lot of Dublin fans travelling down, I imagine, because Cork would have gobbled up the tickets, possibly Limerick as well, and probably Clare most likely too.
Yeah, I think so. Like, it would have, like, I obviously went to the club, so I'd imagine, yeah, like a lot of the Dublin clubs probably would have sent their tickets back, and everything else. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, like, I think there's no need for it to be a double header. Like, I think if you were to have it as a double header, I say Croke Park. I know people would say, oh, it's unfair on Limerick, Clare, and Limerick, Clare, and Cork, obviously, to travel down to Croke Park. But I mean, we had the Football League finals in Croke Park. I mean, Kerry had to come to Croke Park, Donegal had to come to Croke Park. I can guarantee you'd have more in Croke Park for Limerick and Cork in a hurling league final than you would have had in the Kerry Donegal game, in my opinion. I think if you did have a double header in Croke Park, you probably would have got between 60 to 70,000, in my opinion, in Croke Park in a league final. Look, I think overall, look, I have no issue with the game being in the gated grounds, but it's just the fact that you have Dublin Clare in there as well. Like, I think Dublin Clare and Portlaoise still would have got a great attendance. You know, like, I don't know, even if you would have it in Tullamore or something like that, like even Liam, you know, like or like somewhere like that, I think it would have been absolutely fine. So yeah, a little bit disappointing. Yeah, it is kind of harsh on a lot of the different supporters, a lot of the hardcore supporters who won't get to go this weekend. And it is a massive shame, because so often we talk about dead atmospheres and everything else, and this is an opportunity to have a great atmosphere. And unfortunately, look, it will be a great atmosphere in there, but there will be a lot more people who unfortunately won't get to go.
It's similar with Waterford Offaly last year. That's where the comparison does come in. Like, I didn't even have a ticket last year until the last minute for, like, I was only going down for Waterford Offaly. Like, you know, I stayed for the Cork and Tip game, but obviously wasn't on my mind after watching the Offaly game. But that was the thing as well. Last year, you were thinking, why wasn't Offaly and Waterford in Kilkenny? Do you know what I mean? Or even in Portlaoise or Thurles or somewhere else. I completely agree. I think this game this weekend, I think you'd sell out O'Moore Park. You'd sell out O'Connor Park, I think, you know, for these two games this weekend. Or you get a decent crowd in anyway. You might get a decent crowd in Thurles as well. You never know. So, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So Peter Griffin is saying here, a train from Houston. Yeah, we'll have to see how Dublin fans do get down in terms of transport. Should have been a neutral venue in Thurles, is saying Acers here. Peter Griffin is saying Donegal stayed at the Johnston House Hotel. I think I'm actually not sure the Cork stay in the Clayton or something like that, but yeah, Johnstown Bridge is saying as well. Peter Griffin is also saying here, 0 marks at the CCC here, absolutely as well. And we all probably just test the double headers in terms of that as well. Aaron Gubbins is saying here, what do you make of the new Clare jersey? I didn't see that, to be honest. I heard there was a new Clare jersey, but I don't know, did AV lads see it?
Can't say I did, sorry.
No.
I don't know, but
I don't know if that's a reference to me supposed to be getting a Clare jersey in the background, but we will get it, Aaron. Don't worry, we will do it at some stage. We'll replace the Monaghan jersey, because God knows, since the jersey's gone up there, they've lost every game. So
take it down quick.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but Aaron Gubbins did mention a good comment as well, and we will finish on this, lads. Who will be the man of the match in both games? I'll start with Julian.
Ooh.
Right. Oh God. I think in the man of the match from the Cork and Limerick game. Oh God. Brian Hayes. I think he might get a goal and 3 points, maybe a goal and 4. I think Limerick's best player is going to be Cathal O'Neill, for just the way he's been all season. The man of the match in Dublin, Clare. Again, Chris Crummey's fit, yeah?
I think so, yeah. Presume so.
Barron, yeah, if he's fit, I'm going to go with him. And I think Clare's best player is Peter Duggan.
Interesting picks. Aaron?
Yeah, I think for man of the match in the Limerick Cork game, I go for Adam English. I think he's gonna dominate, and then Dublin Clare, I'll go with Cian O'Sullivan, who I think has been in very good form. I do think a player like Fergal Whiteley actually could have a great game as well, but I'd go for both of them. What about you?
Yeah, for Cork against Limerick, I'm going to go Shane Barrett. I think he's done very well for Cork when he has played this year. Limerick's best player, I think, it will be Aidan O'Connor, top scorer in the league so far. I think he's been absolutely sensational. So if Limerick win, I'll probably go Aidan O'Connor there. In terms of Clare against Dublin, this could be the sort of venue and game and national final where Tony Kelly will start to show the country that you shouldn't have forgot about him. So I'm going to go for Tony Kelly for Clare against Dublin. If Dublin are to win, Conor Burke, I'd say, if he is fit, Aaron, is he?
Yeah, he is,
Yeah, I'm going to go for Conor Burke in terms of man of the match if Dublin win that game as well. And there is a comment here from Peter. Great preview, lads. Thanks a million and enjoy the finals. Catch these on the after the Easter holidays. Absolutely. Well, we will have a Sunday preview show as well. So it'll be Easter Sunday as well. There will be a bank holiday Monday there as well. So, yeah, absolutely. Ryan is saying here. Thank you. Lads, see you on Sunday. Absolutely. And enjoy the games if you are watching them or going to the game in the Gaelic grounds this weekend. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff as well. It should be an interesting Sunday of action as well. Obviously a quiet weekend, no LGFA, no men's football, no camogie either. It's just the two games, but they should be absolute crackers. We'll see you all on Sunday in terms of a weekend preview show or review show, should I say. Long night, but we will see you in the next show on Sunday evening. Until then, take care and enjoy the games at the weekend.
Instinct, baby.